everyone. My name is Joel Edmondson. I am the CEO of the Venue Management Association. Now, I know that we have people from around the world on this call today, so some of what I'll say at the beginning will be mainly relevant to the Australians and people from New Zealand that are on the call, although we do have members around the world. The Venue Management Association is the association for the venue industry in Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the Asia Pacific. For those Americans on the call, we're the sister organisation of the IAVM, the International Association of Venue Managers. Typically in Australia, we begin meetings and calls like this with an acknowledgement of our First Nations people. So I'd like to begin today's webinar by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. We're thrilled to have Brian Bauer with us today. Brian's going to deliver a super engaging webinar for everyone. We're very lucky to have him with us. So thank you, Brian. Before I introduce Brian, there is a little bit of a housekeeping to do. And again, this may be more relevant to our Australian, New Zealand, and Asia Pacific colleagues. I'm actually in Melbourne at the moment, having launched over the last few days doing a roadshow, our 32nd annual Asia Pacific Venue Industry Congress. So that's our 3-day industry conference that happens every year. This year it is happening between the 22nd and the 24th of June at the International Convention Centre in Sydney. We're super excited to launch this program. It's a step forward for us as an association, and I would hope as an industry, in terms of an experience of coming together to, be in a creative dialogue about the future of our industry. So there's people from the venue side, there's suppliers, there's people from government, anyone who's kind of touches the venue industry from a professional perspective will be there. There's a very strong focus on technology, innovation and change leadership within the Congress. And these are issues that are really, really pivotal to the future of our industry and conversations that everyone needs to be part of. There will be some amazing keynotes. We've only announced a few of those yet, and we'll be drip feeding those over the next few months. Some great workshops, some of whom are delivered by leading business people outside of the venue sector. So we're very big on bringing ideas in from the rest of the world to really influence how the venue industry is progressing. And then some really, really amazing peer-to-peer learning experiences. So we are running a knowledge cafe as part of the Congress this year, and then there's a range of roundtables where different professional groups and verticals within venue management can get together and discuss the issues that really matter to them. So early bird tickets are on sale now. You can find those at our website, vma.org.au. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce Brian. Brian Bauer is a Nashville-based entrepreneur and president of Bauer Entertainment Marketing. He leads a team of nearly 50 marketing experts and has helped grow 500 plus music, sports and entertainment properties worldwide. He's a leadership music alumnus and has been recognised as a most admired CEO by the Business Journal and an emerging entrepreneur of the year at the Next Awards. Before founding BEM, Brian co-managed Rockhouse Partners, an entertainment marketing firm owned by global ticketing company Etix. As a manager and drummer for professional touring and recording bands, Brian shared the stage with artists including Chris Stapleton, KG Elephant, and Dhani Harrison. Brian has been invited to speak at major music and sports conferences around the world, including Billboard's Live Music Summit and Awards, South by Southwest, Music Biz, NAMM, Event and Venue Marketing Conference, Sports and Entertainment Analytics Conference, Sports and Entertainment Venues Today, FestForums, and Korea's StartupCon. So Brian has no shortage of experience and knowledge to share with you today. And I know that Brian wants this to be a really participatory session. So please engage with that with as much vigor as possible. But without further ado, I'll hand over to Brian and I'll see you again.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Joel. Thanks for everybody who carved out time here to attend. to echo the very kind intro, my team at Bauer Entertainment Marketing and I have supported a really wide array of venues and events, both on the event producer side and the tour side. So a lot of the shows that are playing those rooms, we see both sides of the coin. And I'm excited to kind of impart some of the observations that we've been seeing, particularly in the current climate. Because we support, events globally, we get to really see what's new, efficient, and effective across a really wide landscape. And often that kind of knowledge complements what our clients are seeing within, their focus, which is on their particular venue or their particular tour. So my goal with this session is for you all to leave maybe just with like one tactic or one strategy that will ideally fundamentally change kind of how you're reaching audiences, how you're capturing leads, how you're converting ticket sales. So I want to also, encourage, as Joel was sharing, for you guys to just kind of add to the chat. And I want to make sure that the chat is functioning, it's working. And so maybe we can start with just like who's here. And so if you just want to type in the chat, like your venue or organization, where you're located, and maybe just one, upcoming event that you're maybe most excited about that you're working on. So hopefully that's functioning. But yeah, give that a shot. And if not, maybe I don't know if Rebecca's still on the line, but she can help facilitate the chat. If not, we'll just rock and roll through it. But again, I'm going to be kind of touching on an array of like low hanging fruit stuff, even some more complex initiatives, but really kind of a wide array of topics. So, I just want to make sure that people have the ability to sort of add your thoughts and questions to the chat as we progress. I'm not seeing anything on my end. I don't know if that's just me or the settings. Let me see if I can here. I see Q&A. Okay, cool. So looks like chat is disabled, but the Q&A section is open. So yeah, if you guys want to do that, and I wonder if here chat. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, Q&A it is. I will keep that open and keep an eye out for your guys' questions and comments and stuff. So again, excited to have y'all here. All right, so I want to touch on, again, kind of tips, tricks, trends, things that we're seeing currently, particularly amongst our venue clients. And I'll start with sort of this overall section of elevating brand awareness. And as I go through this, I'm going to be kind of hopping around on various topics. But I just want to make sure that, as things arise, by all means, pause, type in your Q&A here section. I'm happy to kind of revisit some topics because I will be just sort of flying through things here. So one of the more recent observations is particularly around hashtags. Hashtags on Facebook, Instagram, they're a thing of the past. Instead of hashtags sort of at the end of posts, we're seeing the most effective method to incorporate the term or phrase in the caption of your social posts. Now, to some degree, you can still use them kind of in ironic fashion in Instagram posts. And for now, I would say that TikTok is still using hashtags for search purposes, but particularly hashtags are less effective than they have been. And we see that as kind of the latest trend of how to reach and maximize the potential for your social media content is to incorporate that into the caption as opposed to as a hashtag. So that is one consideration that I want to share. The next is regarding influencer marketing. So there is a school of thought that the greater the following of the influencer, the more impactful those posts will be. We have found that niche or micro influencers are proving to be way more cost effective than these kind of big names for more local events. And so promoters that tap those kind of regional creators in the sort of 100K to 500K follower realm definitely have a stronger element of trust with their audience. They have better engagement. They're frankly easier to work with. They're more responsive. And so as you're developing your influencer database and kind of identifying those opportunities, it's sort of that micro and mid-tier influencer that we find yields greater results. So definitely curious if you guys are leveraging influencer marketing, with your promotions. It is kind of still one of the more lesser common tactics or methods on the venue side. But we do find that it is super valuable, particularly, those influencers that are interested in, just attending. I mean, there's a really valuable trade opportunity there with tickets. So to get them in the door, get them experiencing the event, they can be a really great mouthpiece. So another point that I want to share, AI, right? So we found that AI absolutely has an opportunity to strengthen content concept generation and ensure that it remains on brand. And so I'll unpack that a little bit. So the key to a successful brand, particularly for venues, is making sure that you're setting an expectation and then meeting that expectation. And what I mean by that is making sure that the look and feel of that brand and the perception of that brand is consistent, right? And so with a consistent look and feel for the content that a venue is putting out there, from its social posts to emails to newsletters to merch to billboards, whatever those things are, with consistency breeds familiarity and recognition, which then in turn builds trust. And nobody is going to buy tickets if they don't trust. And so a lack of consistency with a venue's brand is a real killer. And so we quite often see a common pitfall is social media feeds for venues that are just all over the place with its content. And it's usually a bunch of ad mats from the tours. It's just a complete hodgepodge of different look and feel. It's a very common mistake. And it's really important to make sure that there is a level of consistency with the content. And one of the things that my team has started to implement, and I will share my screen here, I thought it was a really great mechanism, was to use AI to create a way for us to develop content in a consistent way. And so let me share my screen. Cool. So hopefully y'all can see this here. And so created a custom GPT. This is for a festival client that has a lot of particulars about their brand and the content, like no usage of you, I, or we, or no hashtags except for TikTok, or use certain types of tone for emojis, or capitalizing the first letters. And so there's a whole host of rules that need to be considered when developing content and concepts for content. And so by having these incorporated into a custom GPT, we're able to develop content that is consistent with the brand. And so this is something that I would recommend you take into consideration for your venue and your events. So this is just something that I thought I'd share with you guys. So let me keep rolling through some other thoughts and trends and observations with regards to elevating brand awareness. So I just touched on AI. It is incredibly important to optimize your websites for AI search. That is the trend. The rule of thumb with this is that if you're optimizing for Bing search engines, you'll in turn be optimizing for ChatGPT as well. So that is essentially what the ChatGPT leverages for its search results, right? So, another thing, kind of in relation is that if you are targeting younger audiences, we have found that TikTok search is their go-to. They often prefer TikTok over Bing and Google for their searching. And so making sure that you're developing content that they can find on their preferred platform by injecting search terms into TikTok captions is a really important consideration. So question for the chat as I go through this, how are you guys using AI to market or to promote your events? I'd be really curious and happy to kind of share some of your responses. So as you guys add those two, again, this is the Q&A section because our chat seems to be disabled. I want to share too, like another observation was that Meta has quietly kind of changed their page-like advertising capabilities to also include Instagram. Previously, you could only do page-like campaigns for Facebook. And so if you're kind of seeking a simple yet effective way to grow your followers and grow your reach, page-like campaigns are now stronger than before. So that will be kind of another potential tactic or strategy that I would suggest. Cool. So it seems like there's a contribution. So we've used AI for consistency for captions across social media and e-blasts. Yeah, I think that's great and akin to what I was mentioning earlier. And part of the process too with AI, as many have learned, it progressively gets better with the more you use it, right? So it's like it teaches itself. You can train it so that it becomes even more effective, more consistent, more creative over time. So yeah, AI is absolute excellent tool for developing content. Next, I want to highlight an observation that many venues are still not necessarily leveraging dark advertising to reach their performers' core fans. And if you're not familiar with the term dark ads, this is the kind of the tactic of ads that are served from the artist's social media pages, right? So they don't necessarily come from the venue or the promoter. They're coming as if they're being served by the talent. And so these tend to perform better than ads that come from the venue or the promoter's pages because fans have that deeper connection with the talent than they do with the room or the promoter. And so, in fact, we do see an average of 49% more ticket sales when dark ads are incorporated into the ad strategy. So a great mechanism for expanding reach because you also have the capability to reach those artists' fans once you do obtain artist advertising access. So that's just a consideration. Again, I see Josh here had a question. What about using AI for visual content consistency? Yeah, very doable, but also precarious, right? So what I've observed when it comes to AI for visual content is that it can often be, I guess, tricky, particularly if there are things that like words that need to be spelled in AI is often misspelled or inaccurate. There's also definitely can be a particular look and feel with AI that feels a little bit otherworldly. But if that is in line with the brand, right, like that's okay. So oftentimes where AI is successful from a visual perspective is if there's something that you need to create that cannot be captured with your standard kind of photo and video, right? So if there's a concept that should be so outlandish and should be something that is like so bizarre and can't be created in the real world, it's a great usage for AI. At least that's what I've found to be most effective. AI is definitely getting better and better. I would say there are more practical uses too for AI with visual content in the Adobe space, where there's just basic opportunities to remove elements or expand the scope, where if you want to create kind of a larger visual perspective that isn't necessarily captured in a photo, you can expand and add like periphery elements and things like that that didn't actually exist but appear real. So there's a whole host of things that can be done using AI for that visual content. So yeah, thanks, Josh. That's a really great point. So let me add another consideration for kind of tips and tricks for elevating your reach here. So another similar kind of tactic that I think is commonly overlooked and free is to get your performing talent to comment on the venue's organic social posts. So on average, your organic posts are only reaching about 6% of your potential audience. And so when artists leave comments such as things like, I can't wait, or, who am I going to see at the show? Like, fans go crazy for that stuff. And it's so simple, yet so effective. We have seen posts that are, old or candidly dead and not getting any engagement. After a few days, like, an artist will post on it and it comes to life like crazy. We've seen it produce as much as 640% more reach. We had, for instance, John Cleese comment on one of our posts, and it grew to over 6,000 engagements in just 2 days. So it's super powerful, and again, very basic. So that would definitely be something that I would suggest. So those are some of the components that I would recommend, or that we're seeing with elevating brand awareness. Would love if anybody has anything else that they're doing or they have questions about in that Q&A section. By all means, please let me know. But I will move on to kind of the next section here, which is capturing more leads and some tips and tricks around that. So, most venues share a pretty common challenge when it comes to growing their database. Most of them are just capturing data through their ticket buyers, and that's it. The issue there is that ticket buyers, they are bringing 1 to 3 guests with them on average, right? And so for any given event, an event producer doesn't know essentially 2/3 of the room. They don't know how to contact or get in touch with the majority of people that are attending their events. And that is problematic, even just from a baseline, from a safety standpoint, right? Like there are opportunities to steward a safer event by making sure that you have the ability to contact your audience and your patrons, right? But from a marketing standpoint as well, I think it's really important to be able to maximize the amount of contact information with the people that are attending your events. And so there's a variety of opportunities there and trends. So, in advance of the show, digitally, making sure that on social media, you're encouraging regularly your followers to sign up for your newsletter or your text message list, right? Or making sure that on your website, there's a compelling prompt to register. So replacing the kind of generic newsletter sign up prompt, that sort of like stay in touch, that kind of thing, with more enticing offers. I mean, it sounds silly, but again, this is something that we just see constantly, is just, an opportunity to make a more thrilling and exciting offer. So give them a chance to, sign up for your newsletter and be entered to win free tickets or get a discount on merchandise, etc. AppSumo, if you're familiar, they reported that discounts, giveaways, they can boost email signup rates by over 100%. It works, right? So there is an absolute correlation between what is being offered and how many people subscribe. It's, very, very straightforward, but it's something that, again, is a very commonly overlooked component of establishing your database. Also advertising as well, before, during, after events, like making sure that you're giving your fans an opportunity to subscribe, and putting some dollars behind that. It's worth it, right? So running social media advertising dedicated to capturing those social media followers and turning them into subscribers, super valuable there. And I'll dig into a little bit more of that later on. During the event, ton of opportunity for on-site capture, right? So gated Wi-Fi, that's something that is a huge opportunity. And you can get sponsors and brands to cover the cost. They love that. Digital, physical signage, right? So in between acts or before shows start, having displays, encouraging people to text and sign up for alerts. It's very basic, but it works. And so those are huge opportunities, again, to better understand who is in the room. And we see that to be extremely effective. I mentioned brand partners and also, media partners. There's opportunities there to do things like co-promoted contests. And so those are great ways for you to establish with partners enter to wins and ways for you to leverage, your partners network, and again, expand your reach and grow your database that way, right? So these co-branded and co-promoted contests. So let me pause and just, again, I'll pose another question here for our Q&A section in the chat. So I'd be curious, like, what ways are you guys converting online or in-person traffic into email or text message subscribers? Like, what are you guys seeing that's particularly effective? So as you guys are adding that kind of stuff, and yeah, Helen, I don't know if it'll be shared. I do know this is being recorded. So I imagine that this will have a follow-up with the recording link, but appreciate you hopping in here. Cool. So let me touch on a little bit more with contest marketing. So yep, competitions and giveaways. Thank you, Merrick. I want to put this in the context of the current landscape, right? And particularly in the US, the TikTok ban, and kind of what that means in relation to the importance of stop sort of renting fans from social media and pulling those followers off into your database. Excuse me. So making sure that you are consistently conducting contests and giveaways on social media is incredibly important. Some of the key contesting considerations that I want to highlight is offering, prizes that fans actually want. Some of the, excuse me, sorry, I'm coming off of a cold. But one of the more recent prizes that we found to be really effective was a pick your prize. So we didn't even tell fans what the prize was. We let their imagination kind of run wild. We let them enter with their contact information what they wanted to win. And they told us a really wide range of really exciting and fun stuff. And we turned their dreams into reality. And that really led to thousands of entries. It was really exciting. So making sure that you're offering prizes that your fans actually find exciting and want. Emily, love some of these ideas around the in-venue photo booth and capturing that data to receive the photo. Like, love that. Definitely find that to be very effective. So yeah, great call there. The next contesting consideration is just making it easier to enter these contests, right? So reducing the amount of form fields just to the bare minimum, making it just simple, capturing only the info that you truly need, and then you can do follow-ups to make sure that you're gathering more data and more information, and making sure that you're building that relationship, but just get them in the door, right? And make sure that you're only capturing just what you need for ongoing communication. Next is rewarding fans for sharing the contest with others, right? So there's opportunities to turn those entries into bonus entries by giving them links that when they share the contest with their network, it gives them an opportunity to increase the odds of winning. So that's another key factor. Next, leveraging urgency. So we don't usually recommend contests run for more than, let's say, about 2 weeks. We really want to limit the time for them to enter. You can always extend, right? Like, you can always do extending due to popular demand, but we want to make sure that there's a very clear deadline. That's going to motivate people to take action. So next, I want to also talk about the follow-up and really making sure that our contests are actionable. And so turning those contest losers into ticket buyers. We will send a consolation prize, right? A consolation message out to those that entered but did not win. And we often see that drive incremental sales. So those are the key considerations as I, again, fight this into this cold, but those are the key considerations that I would recommend you guys factor in as you're thinking about contest marketing. I'm really curious. Like, I know we talked about some of the contests and some of the giveaways and things like that, and the venue photo booth, right? So what are some of the best contest prizes that you guys have seen to promote an event? And I will gladly share one of mine here in a moment. So as you guys kind of add that to the Q&A, I think one of my favorite ones that I've ever done was for the X Games. We did a helicopter flyaway that brought them to the event. So they arrived in style. It was pretty epic. So next, I want to share one of the kind of interesting platforms that I have seen. It's called Lucky Seat. So these luckyseat.com contests, they're really cool. I think that they're only offered in the US currently, but it's a model that you can replicate. And so this is a really interesting thing where you can enter for a chance to win the opportunity to purchase tickets at a really low price. And those folks that enter then receive, certainly consolation opportunities to buy tickets, things like that. But it's a really novel concept. And so I would encourage you guys to check out luckyseat.com. That platform we have also leveraged for certain productions for our venue clients that has been really effective. So we had Dear Evan Hansen. And for that campaign, we sent out an email promotion to Lucky Seat subscribers. We spent about 2,500 US, it's about 4,000 Australian. And that allowed us to reach almost 70,000 email recipients. There were about 33,000 opens and 1,200 clicks. That resulted in roughly around 115 tickets sold, or the equivalent of 7,000 US or 11,000 Australian. So the return was really strong based off of that investment. So as you're considering platforms, that is one that we have found to be effective. And again, from the model of replicating Lucky Seat, that's one to consider. Cool. So Josh shared, posters, tickets, hospitality stuff, always great prizes for sure. Yeah, fans love kind of signed exclusive, merchandise. That's great stuff. And then yeah, Emily, the golden ticket giveaway. That's a great one. And in particular, we have loved to leverage that for new venues just opening and really trying to establish their database, or for existing venues that are about to launch a season of shows. It's a really great kickoff contest. So, another one that I'll throw out there too is win it before you can buy it contests. Those are always great. So, as a show gets announced, but it's not yet on sale, instead of having sort of that dead end experience for fans, we can present a win it before you can buy it contest where they enter to win a chance to win, buy tickets before the general public. By doing those types of contests as well, it gives us an understanding of the demand for those shows. And we can go back to the production and say, hey, like, we've received several thousand entries for this, right? So let's start talking about perhaps adding an extra performance or a matinee or something like that. And so contests can really help inform those kind of conversations. So anyways, yeah, thanks for sharing those, guys. Let me see here. So I think another common pitfall that I want to highlight is not necessarily knowing how much to invest in lead capture initiatives. We start by really gauging the average revenue produced by your email or text message marketing. So I'll break this down sort of in an example. If you message, let's say, a database of 10,000 recipients, and you're consistently seeing kind of this resulting revenue of around, let's say, $5,000 for each send to those 10,000 recipients, you can conclude that the value of each subscriber is about $2. If you run a contest that costs you, let's say, $1,000 to implement, and it captures 2,000 entrants, well, then the cost per lead is 50 cents. So compared to the $2 per subscriber value, you should expect then to net $1.50 from each contest entrant. So it's a $3,000 profit from a $1,000 investment. So just again, factoring in kind of the economics around your contesting is super important to kind of think through, because oftentimes you can find yourself upside down with contests. But if you see that, wow, for every $1,000 we're making 3,000, you're printing money. There's a massive opportunity again to be doing contesting consistently, to be able to capture and fuel your database. The last kind of component here in my notes that I wanted to share with regards to lead capture was around Facebook event RSVPs. I think it's a really undervalued method for many venues. Some of those that use sort of Ticketmaster, there's the automated Facebook event creation when you develop or launch an event, and they just sort of get forgotten about. They're cast aside. We think that there's so much power in those Facebook events. You can retarget those that RSVP'd with your advertising. You can post to the discussion sections, and when you do, those that RSVP'd to the Facebook event receive alerts. So they are way more powerful than your standard organic social posts to the main page. You can add your artists or partners as co-hosts to them, which then expand the reach. So yeah, Facebook events definitely get slept on. I think it's really, really important to leverage them. I will also say that Facebook events are a great alternative call to action for your audiences that bought tickets early. A massively common pitfall is you have an audience that you have converted into a buyer in that pre-sale window or early on in the on sale. So you've got them, but you have an event happening 3-4 months away. And oftentimes venues don't communicate with these core audiences until it's that know before you go message the day or two before the show. there's a whole lull there where they're kind of forgotten about. And if that's the case, you're doing it wrong. Use Facebook event RSVPs as a mechanism to encourage those that have already bought tickets to share that they're interested or going to the event. And that way there's the network effect, right? So when they do that, it tells their followers that they're attending, and it grows awareness and reach that way. So yeah, we definitely make sure that you guys are considering Facebook event RSVPs as a core element of your marketing strategies. So I'm going to move forward here to converting more ticket sales section here. And I know I'm sort of like throwing a bunch of stuff here, but I wanted a brain dump. And if any of these, resonate with you guys, let me know in the chat, and I'm happy to unpack some of them more deeply. And then I'll also share my contact info at the end of this if you do have any additional questions. But moving on, not enough venues are buying their own ticket. It is such a frequent error that we see. It's understandable from the standpoint of we have a ton going on. As everybody knows in the venue space, there's too much to do, too little time, too little resources. Still, make it your mission at least once a quarter. Count how many steps it takes to buy a ticket to your shows. On average, there's a 33% drop off with each click along the way. It is a massive opportunity to make sure that you're streamlining that experience. You're making sure that your ticketing company understands that this is where there's abandonment that's taking place, and having those conversations. There are often tweaks and adjustments that can be made. Again, I understand that a lot of that can be out of your hands, but even before they get to the ticketing site, there's a lot that can be done on the marketing site to make sure that it is as streamlined as possible. On that note, added fees at checkout are the top cause of abandonment. The standard benchmark that you should be kind of mindful of is 70% cart abandonment rate. Anything above that typically tells us that it is a result of added fees or kind of surprise, extra costs. So I understand that in general, all-in pricing is becoming more of the standard. We're seeing definitely stronger conversion rates as a result of that practice. Ultimately, it's about setting expectations for those ticket buyers and then meeting those expectations. So we are finding that the best practice with regards to presenting the price and trying to reduce that abandonment is presenting the all-in price, and then underneath that, signifying kind of what the amounts of any extra fees or any GST or tax that is going to be added on, but just making sure that there's an expectation being set. So that's really important. So yes, anything above 70% cart abandonment rate is usually that's a red flag and something to really kind of note that, yeah, something is going on here that's contributing to a higher abandonment rate than what is standard. Another common thing that we see with abandonment is requiring people to create an account. And so having those discussions with your ticketing partners to establish a guest checkout, we usually see about a 35% drop off when consumers are required to create an account. So that is definitely an important element. Unfortunately, for those that use Ticketmaster, this is not necessarily an option. But for other ticketing platforms, it can be. With guest checkout, you still get the data. It just allows for more flexibility for your consumers. So that is definitely something that we are seeing on across our clients, that those that have guest checkout versus those that don't tend to have you know, a better conversion rate. Let's talk a little bit more around price sensitivity. Oh, sorry. Before I do that, I see Ashley has a question here. So, do you have any thoughts on best practices around whether you should display prices ahead of the on sale? So we have a pre-registration system on our ticketing platform and sometimes see a larger drop off when prices are displayed, but not consistently. So do you have any insight on this? Yeah. So I think again, it goes back to setting that expectation. You know, there will be a stronger conversion rate, right? So you will see, you know, ultimately more sales. At least that's what we're observing by presenting sort of that all-in pricing. But again, I think that presenting it as this is the all-in with the caveat of like it includes, you know, this type of fee, this GST, you know, however, you know, kind of those added ons, but just again making sure that it's understood that yes, this is your all-in, and there's going to be some additional components to that. Ultimately, yeah, we see stronger conversions, but there will likely be fewer people to enter the funnel, right? So it's a little bit of this. You're weeding people out at the onset, but we do find that ultimately it leads to more sales. So that would be my best recommendation. All right, so I was talking about price sensitivity. A lot of mechanisms there. So payment plans, buy now, pay later, ticket insurance. So companies like Secure My Booking, those are very, you know, impactful tactics to combat price sensitivity. Also, fan-centric resale marketplaces. So a lot of folks use Tixel. Find a lot of success there with kind of providing that flexibility and boosting consumer confidence and knowing that they have the opportunity to not necessarily be locked in, but they can resell. Love that, you know, Tixel has kind of a wait list with auto purchase and things like that. So those are all mechanisms that we find to really help with price sensitivity. So I would be curious, and you know, people add this to the chat, right? So what what are you guys doing to sort of ensure your events are being perceived as affordable? Are you using things like buy now, pay later, or you know, things like you have ticket insurance or resale marketplace? Like what kind of stuff are you guys finding to be most valuable? Cool. So as you guys are adding that, I want to talk about maximizing cost efficiency. And I know that we're kind of nearing the hour, so I'm going to keep on rocking here. So yeah, we find that venues are most effective when they're leveraging sort of three types of ad campaigns. There's calendar level campaigns, right? So driving clicks to the overall calendar of events. There are show level campaigns, so obvious, right? So just based off of the individual show, and then genre level. And that is an opportunity to package a series of similar shows. So be it, you know, we've got a bunch of Broadway shows coming up, or country shows, or, you know, what have you. Why that's effective for, you know, particularly calendar and genre level is it allows you to amortize your advertising spend across kind of the full calendar or select groups of shows. And so if you are a venue based off of your size, it may not economically make sense for you to do only show level campaigns. Doing calendar and genre level can help with that cost efficiency. Next, so if you know, do you guys know what your website visitors are doing once they're on the site, right? So all of the social media, advertising, and email marketing, and whatever, it's all driving people to a destination, and it's the website, right? But if you don't know deeply what they are doing once they're there, you're losing out on a lot of opportunity to maximize your sales. And so some tools that we recommend that are free, Hotjar is one, and Microsoft Clarity is another. They allow you to understand how fans are scrolling through your website, clicking on your website. You can record sessions, observe their activity, but really understand, oh, wow, like only 20% of our audience is scrolling down to the ticket buttons. Well, in that case, let's move those ticket buttons up to the top of the page. It's those kind of things that allow you to A/B test different content placements and images and things like that on your website to, again, maximize sales. So that is something that we find that venues are often not doing. I'm going to keep flying through this because, again, I know we're almost at our hour. Sorry, guys. Providing social proof. That is something that we know that 70% of fans on average are checking reviews before they make their purchase. There are so many opportunities for them to spend their money on events that they sometimes get overwhelmed. And so they'll go to a trusted source to find out, is this worth my dollars? And so because we know that to be true, making sure that we are providing third-party testimonials and really presenting why this is popular and why this is warranting their investment. It's really going to motivate those prospects who are on the fence about buying tickets. So that is yet another thing I wanted to highlight. Next one, establishing cart abandonment, making sure that you have an email cadence for those cart abandonments, right? So a series of emails. So we recommend a reminder email sent pretty quickly. So, hey, you forgot this, still sitting in your cart. Probably the next day, doing a limited time offer. So if you come back and convert and buy your tickets, we'll throw in a free, Diet Pepsi at the, at the concessions. And then finally, a last chance. So one final reminder. But we find that having that series of cart abandonment is super valuable. Let's see. For mobile conversions, making sure that you have Apple Pay, Google Pay at checkout, that's absolutely going to increase your mobile conversion sales, right? Let's see, what else do I want to highlight? Generally speaking, you got thousands of potential ticket buyers that experience a frustrating dead end when tickets are not yet on sale or sold out. And as a result, they leave the site, right? And they miss out on that experience. You miss out on capturing that sale or data. Everybody's kind of unhappy. So we recommend incorporating ticket alert calls to action on the website to convert that traffic into email addresses or phone numbers that when tickets become available, or let's say holds are released, you can communicate immediately and directly with those prospects that are eager to buy. We usually see about a 28% conversion rate from those alert messages. So yeah, super, super valuable. So I know we only have kind of a few minutes left. If you guys do have any questions, throw them in the Q&A here, and I definitely want to address them. I know I threw a bunch out here, and I have even more, but by all means, feel free to add your questions to the chat. You can also email me. So my email is Brian, Brian, at BauerEM.com, and I will be happy to field whatever questions you guys have. I'll even throw this out there. The first 10 people to email me, they're going to get a 10% off code for our live event marketing masterclass. If you want to check that out too, it's liveeventmarketingcourse.com. And we've got 60 plus video modules and materials and quizzes and all this kind of really great stuff that walks you through kind of the show is booked. Now, what do you do? And all the kind of best practices. And also, what do you do when tickets aren't selling very well? And what are the best opportunities there? So definitely recommend you guys check that out. Cool. I see Ashley has a question here that I want to respond to. So when do you think is the best time for that last chance abandoned cart remarketing. Yeah, ours fires 48 hours before the show. I wonder if that's too late. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really should be geared a little bit more towards when they abandon the cart, and that's when the timer should start. And so you want that first cart abandonment to be almost immediately after they truly abandon and close the window. That then follow up with the limited time offer can either be between, I would say, 12 and 24 hours later. And then that last chance, I would say within 48 hours of them abandoning is ideal. But I wouldn't necessarily assign the cadence to the show. Now you absolutely can have, a mass last chance promotion to your database, but that would be more of a promotional email as opposed to a cart abandonment sort of automated email. So I do know that a lot of ticketing platforms are limited with regards to how much control you have over the cart abandonment cadence and how you can customize that language. But for those that do have that opportunity, we do find to have that kind of 3 email cadence, usually is the most effective path. Cool. Well, again, encourage you guys to message me by email if you guys have any other questions. Really appreciate you guys spending the time with me. Apologies for my cold here, but I hope I struggled through it in a way that resonated and was fun and effective. Cool. Well, guys, appreciate it. And again, thank you. Thank you so much.